Hey, martial arts instructors. Welcome to my live. And for those of you watching, thank you for being here because today's live is for you guys. So, today's about email. And from the experience I've had, writing for a different martial arts organization, email tends to be treated as something kind of explosive, something volatile. Now, if you're looking to build an email list, or you already have one, this one's going to be important because it'll give you a solid baseline for where you want to begin with your email list. Now, social media is great for getting your name out there. All right, I have nothing against it. It's solid as a method to get more eyeballs on your content so that you can get more students. But the problem with social media that people have to be very aware of is that social media is owned by a few tech giants. Facebook by Zuckerberg, Instagram by Facebook, which basically goes back to Zuckerberg. YouTube is owned by Google. I could go on. There's only a few hands on that pie. So the problem with that is because they make the rules and it affects a whole lot of people, if you become so much as a negative blip on our corporate overlords' radars, you might be kind of toast before you can get your content in front of your audience and get their eyeballs on you. Email's different, though. For one thing, email isn't owned by any one tech giant, per se. Now, sure, you have guys like, Yahoo, Google, and Outlook as the big three providers for consumers. But when it comes to business owners like you who want to send out an email blast, you've got MailChimp, you've got Aweber, you've got Sendinblue, you've got Constant Contact, and, those are just the four that I can name off the top of my head. There's likely going to be more, and because email as a whole is more split up, it's a lot easier for you to really control your list as an asset. This is all something I learned from Ben Settle, who, by the way, is pretty much one of the go-to guys for email copywriting. Now, number two, with the right copy and the right strategy for email, it actually becomes one of your best options when it comes to getting your content to your audience, selling them on your services, and getting more accurate numbers, all of which are very vital to a good marketing campaign. Now, note that I specifically mentioned the right copy and the right strategy. More on that later. So, this is all talking from an inbound perspective, and, from my experiences writing for a few major martial arts organizations, that's where I also ran into some really interesting opinions on email marketing. So, let's start with the biggest one that I've dealt with so far, and that's frequency. Out of the three organizations I've written for, literally none of them really agree on how often they should be mailing out their lists. And it's totally understandable. It's easy to see why. A lot of the major organizations that I worked for were worried about, one, potentially spamming their audience into oblivion with a shitload of emails. Two, wasting their efforts when their emails can potentially get buried in their reader's inbox. And three, ending up with possibly the least read emails since people started posing as Nigerian royalty. These are all understandable from a reader's perspective and from a customer's perspective. In fact, I can say that there have been days where I honestly wonder where the hell that one email I've been looking for went off to before I started digging through my spam, trash, and inbox. But there's also a much simpler, although not exactly easy, way to fix this, and I like to call it R&R. Now, that doesn't mean I'm talking about rest and relaxation. R&R in this case stands for relevance and regularity. Now, relevance isn't the most cut and dry topic when it comes to email, period, because being able to stay relevant basically demands that you're constantly keeping a finger on the pulse of your target market. relevant email, just like any other good content and copy strategy, talks about your target audience's aches, pains, and worries in relation to what you're trying to promote. So one example would be this live, weirdly enough, because I'm here talking about the frequency of mailing your list for a reason. And it's because instructors I've worked with are understandably nervous about the possibility of their emails getting junked. But the idea behind it is to use email campaigns to talk about exactly what the target audience is worried about. What's their elephant in the room? So if you're able to pinpoint that and give them a solution, that's more reason for your audience to open, read, and click on whatever it is you want them to click on. So the other one, regularity. Regularity is a slightly tricky topic. Now, I've worked with an organization that emails once a month, another that emails at least 3 times a week, and recently one that emails only when they feel like it's worth getting the message out. Now, I'm still trying to iron the details out on that third one to see what the analytics look like, but I can guarantee you that the one that emailed once a month has ended up in my junk folder because of the damned filters more than a few times. And before you ask, yeah, I had to dig through my junk mail to find that out. See, the funny part about email service providers is that they like to have their filters set on how regularly you talk to your audience. And that's what email is, basically. You're starting a conversation with your audience and you're trying to get a response. So if a service provider like Yahoo or Google sees that you're not emailing your audience enough, you're more likely to get junked before you get the chance to get in front of your audience's eyeballs. Now, granted, even if you do email pretty regularly with relevant content, you'll probably still sometimes, and keyword sometimes, end up in someone's junk folder for any stupid reason. Maybe some lazy reader can't bother actually hitting the unsubscribe button. Maybe you weren't a whitelisted domain, or maybe something funny happened with the filters that gave you the shaft for that. Now, I can't necessarily answer the whole bit about the lazy reader and the filters, kind of changing algorithm, but for the second part about you being a whitelisted domain, if your indoctrination campaign is thorough about asking for that commitment to get your reader to whitelist you, you should be a little bit better. So, while the other two are out of your control, it's actually what makes it more important to double down on your emails and send out enough emails that your audience will get them and your audience will read them, so long as it's relevant content. And, because I've gone through this a few times, I can even help out with that. So I'm running a 5-week paid program where I'll help you put together a crystal clear message to your target audience. So this one's for you if you, 1, teach legitimate Southeast Asian martial arts, 2, have an online course or you're building an online course, 3, want to keep your school open and ready for when the pandemic finally passes over, and 4, you already have a student base. So after you're through with this program, you should get results within 6 months starting from the day you began working with me. And what happens is, for those 5 weeks, we do 5 weekly one-on-one calls where I take you through the process of honing your message, and it looks like this. Number 1, we develop a clear ideal student type so that you're not taking a shotgun approach and just trying to see what sticks. Number 2, putting a kick-ass offer together that can help your ideal students with their exact problem within a specific amount of time. Number 3, figuring out where you want to get your traffic from to start with, and what process you want to take your viewers through before they become your students. Number 4, crafting your messaging so that it has your voice to it while it still persuades people to come and train with you. And number 5, getting your numbers down so that you can rinse and repeat this process all over again before you have to shift to another offer. The only catch with this program is because it's all one-on-one, I only work with 5 people max on any given month. And right now, last I checked, I have space for 3 people left. But the best part of this deal for you is, since I just recently launched this program, it's on a much heavier discount than normal. And, we can cover that on a Zoom call. So if you're still watching and you think we can work together, click the link in the comments to my Calendly and let's get this ball rolling.